The sun-baked highway stretched endlessly as Evelyn Mercer faced her stalled luxury car in silence. Accustomed to control and speed, she now stood exposed on the roadside. In that quiet moment, help arrived from where she least expected, and changed her forever. If you believe in compassion, hope, and second chances, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more stories. Let's begin. The highway stretched endlessly beneath a hard blue sky, heat shimmering above the asphalt like a living thing. Evelyn Mercer drove alone, her hands steady on the wheel, her posture composed. She preferred it that way. For years, motion had been her sanctuary, airports, boardrooms, highways blurring together into proof that she was always moving forward. Movement meant purpose. Control meant safety. She had learned early that stopping invited fear, and fear had no place in the life she built. The car purred smoothly until it didn't. A sharp shudder ran through the frame, a warning light flashed, and the engine fell silent as the vehicle drifted helplessly onto the shoulder. Traffic rushed past, indifferent, shaking the air around her like a reminder of how small she suddenly was. Her phone glowed weakly before fading to black. Standing beside the stalled luxury car, Evelyn felt stripped of every layer she'd built. Memories rose uninvited, nights counting coins as a child, her mother's quiet exhaustion, the vow she made to never feel powerless again. This breakdown wasn't just mechanical. It reopened a fear she thought ambition had buried forever. She noticed them gradually, a man and a young girl walking along the edge of the highway, careful, alert, accustomed to danger. They moved with the practiced awareness of people who understood that roads could be unforgiving. They slowed when they saw her, not from curiosity, but concern. The man introduced himself as Daniel Carter, his voice calm, his hands rough with years of honest labor. He explained he repaired farm equipment and old cars for neighbors when needed, fixing what others discarded or gave up on. The girl, Lena, stepped forward without hesitation, studying the open hood with quiet certainty. She pointed toward the engine as if it were familiar, not intimidating. There was no awe in her eyes, no interest in the car's cost or status. Only focus. Daniel offered help gently, leaving the decision entirely to Evelyn. She hesitated, unused to choice without pressure. In her world, nothing arrived without expectation or leverage. This simple offer unsettled her more than the breakdown itself. Daniel worked patiently, adapting with limited tools, listening instead of forcing solutions. He wiped his hands on a worn cloth, checked connections twice, paused when something didn't feel right. Lena stood nearby, her belief unwavering, watching as if patience itself were something she had learned early in life. Evelyn watched time slow into something unfamiliar. No rush. No audience. No performance. Just effort given freely, without guarantee of success. She realized how rarely she had witnessed work done without a contract, a deadline, or applause waiting at the end. When the engine finally caught and settled into a steady hum, relief washed through her, followed by a quiet ache she couldn't explain. Instinctively, she reached for her wallet, the language she knew best. Daniel refused with a small shake of his head. Gratitude was enough. Lena smiled, satisfied, as though she'd known all along how this would end. Evelyn felt something shift, an understanding that not everything valuable could be measured, owned, or bought. After the Carters continued down the road, their figures shrinking against the shimmering horizon, Evelyn remained seated, hands resting on the wheel. The moment followed her home like a persistent echo she couldn't silence. In meetings, she listened more than she spoke. She questioned urgency where she once demanded it. She noticed people she had previously overlooked, the ones who worked quietly, steadily, without recognition. The memory of a child pointing calmly at a broken engine stayed with her. Weeks later, she funded a roadside assistance initiative employing local mechanics, people rooted in their communities, people who understood patience as much as skill. It wasn't charity dressed as generosity. It was respect turned into action. When Evelyn later found Daniel and Lena again, there were no cameras, no speeches. Only a quiet thank you and support offered without control, allowing them to remain exactly who they were. Months later, Evelyn drove that same highway. The road hadn't changed, but she had. She no longer saw it as something to conquer or escape, but as a place where lives crossed briefly and meaning formed quietly. She noticed details she once ignored, the way people slowed for one another, the small gestures exchanged without words. She remembered Lena's certainty, the belief that problems weren't meant to be faced alone. For the first time, Evelyn understood that true wealth wasn't speed, power, or insulation from need. It was the presence of care, offered without condition or calculation. And sometimes, the clearest wisdom doesn't come from success or authority, but from a child who points at what's broken and believes, without doubt, that help will come, and that how we help matters just as much as whether we do. Thanks for being here. Like and subscribe to keep more unforgettable stories coming.